is allowed.
Coffee is allowed, especially in a cute cup that matches our theme.
It does, and I actually love that it's so bright pink. Like, it's so bright and fun.
I saw it and I was like, it's bright pink. It says in my reading era. I think it's mine.
Yeah, I think it definitely needs to be yours. So, perfect. Well, good morning for you. It's early. It's early for you today.
Hello, friends. Welcome to today.
Welcome to today. I'm actually very excited about today's chat because it comes with a little bit of like, here's what we found out research, and also like I finished the book and am obsessed. So
yes, and there's also a whole lot of backstory with this too. Like we have several fun it's over here. We have several fun side tangents about this.
Right? about things that are happening. So
about things about this. So should we introduce it or should I tell my fun little story first?
Tell your fun story first and then we'll
Okay. So I had picked up this book and I had started to read this book and I was like, this is super cute. I think Meg would like this. And then you were on one of your work trips and you had read all of the books that you had packed.
Naturally.
So you stopped by the airport bookstore and you were like, look at these that I chose. And I was like, that one looks oddly familiar. And I was looking at it and I was like, I recognize the name of the author. I was like, but that's not one I've read. And so I went back and I checked my shelf and I was like, holy crap. I was like, don't start with that book. Don't touch book 3.
And I was
apparently
like, wait, what?
That's book 3. Yeah, like there was no
because there's no numbers.
No idea. There's
no
numbers.
numbers. There's no that's okay. One gripe. If we're gonna do a series, put numbers on it. I did the same thing with another series that I'm reading where it doesn't have the numbers on it, but like maybe somewhere inside it's like Dream Something book 2 or whatever. And I started with book 2, which whatever. But still.
Yes.
So
and
yes, like, and I didn't read book 3 first. But I did go to the store and complete the series.
Yes. Yes.
Almost.
Well, and even reading it, like it could have been a standalone.
Totally
I had no idea. I had no idea until I saw yours and I was like, oh, wait a minute. There's more.
There could be more. So since we haven't actually told anyone what the book is yet, the author we're talking about is the author we're talking about is Hazel Beck. And it's actually the author that kind of sprung the idea for this episode because it's a very unique type of author. But the book we're talking about is Small Town Big Magic. And we actually both have our own legit like copies, right? And I honestly will say, just to start out, I love this book. Like, it was so cute and perfect to the point that I was like, okay, I finished reading it and I'm definitely going to start the second one that I purchased. So, because like you said, I already had the third one and I went to a couple of stores trying to find it, but they didn't have the first and the second. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. Did you know there's 4 books?
4th one will be out in the fall.
Yes. So the 4th one comes out in the fall, which means I don't have to rush, but we all know I will probably, now that I have, like, I started the first, I'll probably just be like, bing, 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 and read them all. So, started with the first one. But the reason that the author was so intriguing is because it's not just one person.
It's not. I think their author blurb is, like, fantastic.
Right? Do you want me to read it? Because I did write it.
Yes. Yes, I did.
So, on their website, because of course I Google things, on their website it says Hazel Beck is the USA Today best-selling magical partnership of a river witch and an earth witch. Together, they have collected 2 husbands, 3 familiars, 2 children, 5 degrees, and written around 250 books. As one, their books will delight with breathtaking magic, emotional romance, and stories of witches you won't soon forget. And honestly, true.
Right? Like, how perfect is that? And also, 250 books?
Right?
What?
I haven't written one. I haven't done one. I've read 250 books in my life, but I haven't, like...
That's a lot of books.
Yeah, for them. And I think one of the authors writes under several different pseudonyms, right? Pen names. I prefer to say pen names because for some reason, pseudonym, like... My
It
brain and
doesn't
my
flow.
mouth don't like those letters together. But it is the same sort of thing. But it kind
Pseudonym.
of pseudonym. So, which I actually end up doing a lot. But that kind of sent us down this weird hole of like, how many authors are
Join
duos?
forces.
Right? Like
Yeah,
how
because
duos or whatever.
there's a lot that they do. It's this and this. Like my duo that I like, PC Cast and Kristen Cast, but they don't
Right.
write as one.
As
They
one
write
person.
as two. And there's a lot of
Yes.
books that two authors come together and write. So it was
Yes,
very
but not under the
intriguing.
same name. Not under the same
Yeah.
name. And
Yeah.
I think that's what's weird to me is I'm like, wait a minute. You created a whole different name for the two of you together? What is
That's a
happening here?
partnership.
Right. Right? So I did, because of who I am, I did go through and look up a couple of different ones. This has been happening for a very long time. This is not a new thing, which I'm sure many other people are like, well, duh. But,
Well, duh. But for
and I
us,
think,
color
right?
us intrigued.
But I think a lot of times when people write things together, they write them at, authored by this person and this person, right? Or if they do this person, they might leave out, in history, we tended to leave out the women who helped, weirdly. So like right around that revolutionary time, there were a lot of women who were helping to write certain pages, certain papers, certain articles. They just weren't noted in that.
Or who were also using men's names
Yes, also
because they
using men's
wouldn't
names.
publish as a woman's name.
Exactly, which is just, I mean, that's probably a topic for a different day. But it's, something that happened. But I did find, and I think we talked over these briefly earlier, there are several other groups, but I will say a little bit older. The first one I found was actually one that was created in 1928. So that's the early 1900s. And it's Ellery Queen. And some people might know who this is because it was a detective fiction kind of story. But Ellery Queen is not only the author name, it's also the name of the main fictional detective.
Oh, fabulous.
Which I think is very interesting.
Write yourself in.
Right?
Come
So they
on.
literally just like, also, we're going to take these two people, we're going to make this person, and then that person's also going to be the author of this book and the main character of this book. So it was, and I'm going to butcher all of these names, just so we know. So it is an American detective fiction. The writers were Frederick Dannay, Dannay, or Dannay, if you want to say it that way, and Manfred Bennington Lee. Right? So those are the two authors that came together and like, yep, Ellery Queen. Like I said, also the name of the fictional detective, and it's a New York City mystery. Right? So he helps his police inspector father solve murder cases, and that's kind of the whole thing. I will not, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it was also a movie.
Okay.
So I think Ellery Queen is also a movie. And then these two actually wrote around 40 novels and short story collections where Ellery Queen appears as a character.
Okay.
So there's
Interesting.
there's a lot happening there.
Yeah.
And then there are several husband and wife teams, which
Okay.
I like that. I think that's very cool because then you don't have to choose who goes first, right? Or like switch it off, right? Yeah. I'll put my name first this time. You put your name first next time. They just write as one person. So Nikki French is one, an English husband and wife team of Nikki Gerard and Sean French. So they just put those together. They write psychological thrillers.
Ooh.
Right?
I might have to look at those.
Right? So that one, like I said, Nikki French, Nicci, Nikki. And then we have Lars Kepler, which is also a very cool name, which is the pseudonym of husband and wife team Alexandra, and this, I'm telling you, I'm not really good at this, and Doral and Alexander and Doral, who are the authors of the Juna Lin series, Linna, Lina series. 9 installments to date. The series has sold 15 million copies in 40 different languages.
Wow.
And they were both established writers before they started writing together. So they each have like their own set of novels that they've written by themselves, and then they now write together, which is kind of cool.
Interesting.
Right? And then there is Cyril Judd, which is with American writers Cyril Kornbluth and Judith Merrill for their 2 novels. Gunnercade is one, which is a science fiction, and then Outpost Mars, which is also science fiction, but that one was reprinted as 3 different books. Like they they reprinted it once as A Sin in Space. It was serialized as Mars Child, and it's Outpost Mars was like the original one. So like they took the same book and they just like kept changing the title of it.
Interesting.
Right? But I think it's interesting that it's like psychological thrillers, mysteries, science fiction. Like there's not a lot of things on here that are like, hey, we're writing rom-com. We're writing just like general fiction. We're writing romance. Like none of these authors are doing that. They're all like, let's put both of our brains together and do something terrifying.
I'm gonna say this and I'm probably gonna anger some people, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
But it probably doesn't take many people to write a rom-com.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. But like a psychological thriller, you probably need somebody to be like, could you help me unwind to this knot I made? Do you see like what I'm not seeing?
No, and I think that makes sense. I think it's not that rom-com stories or romance novels are easy. I think they're more logical, right? They flow very one way. The layers you're building are around the characters, not around the plot itself or the problems, where a psychological thriller, that thing is an onion and a half, right? We are just peeling layers away and we might get to an apple and it's not even an onion at the end, right? Who knows what's going to happen? The possibilities are endless. In a romantic story, the characters are supposed to get together at the end, right? You know what's going to happen.
Job.
Do one thing, and if you didn't do it, it's not a rom-com. If I'm not laughing or crying at some point in the story for good reasons, you didn't do it right.
You did not do it right. Yes.
Right? And then there was one more that I had on here. James S.A. Corey is the pen name for the collaborators Daniel Abraham and Ty Franick, authors of a science fiction series, another science fiction series called The Expanse. So, and it's interesting the way they got these names. So some of them you could tell, like first name, right? Or something very similar. This one is the first and last names are taken from Abraham's and Franick's middle names, respectively. And then the S.A. are the initials of Abraham's daughter.
Oh, cute.
Right? So the name is also meant to emulate many of the space opera writers of the 1970s. So apparently that was the thing that went on there. And then actually in all of the books published in Germany, they're just under James Corey with the middle initials completely omitted.
Interesting.
Which is interesting. Right? So just some like fun facts about that. But when we were talking about like, hey, I was like, hey, we just picked up these books, wanted to find something that we were reading today, and then ended up loving this book. And then I was like, oh, I don't actually know anything about this Hazel Beck author. That's when we kind of looked it up and I was like, wait, it's two people?
It's two people.
It's two people.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like two people, I will say. Right? Which I think is the mark of doing it well. Not that I've read a bunch of them, but...
Not that we even knew. Like, we wouldn't really know at this point.
I don't know that I can't write as one person. So writing as two people and making a cohesive story.
Yeah.
Seems like a talent.
Yes.
Right?
It would be very interesting.
Right? So you read Small Town Big Magic first.
I did.
What did you think?
Okay. This book had everything I would want. Cozy magic, small town, small group of friends, very interconnected. I loved the relationships within the friends group. I love that something is brewing and then, surprise, you're a witch. You have powers. But.
Ooh, there's a but.
I really, really liked the main character in the very early pages. I thought the OCD type A was adorable and relatable in a cute way. Okay. So I was very drawn to this book, like right off the bat.
Right.
When she got her powers, when she found out she was a witch and she started on that adventure and untangling of all the things, and the friends like revealed that they stuck by her through all of this, I did not like who she became.
Really?
She felt and this is going to sound so contradictory, and I know, but
Okay.
like she was very arrogant and very independent and very, I can do this myself, which kind of pissed me off because your friends stuck by you. They helped you when you were essentially helpless. Like, they couldn't tell you you had
Right.
magic. They couldn't reveal that to you, but for some weird reason, you figured it out. It all came back. Like, this is not supposed to happen. Once you don't pass your power test, you have a choice. And she made her choice. And her friends decided to stick by her, even though they couldn't tell her anything. And she then just acted like she knew everything and she didn't need their help and she could do it herself and she didn't lean on them. Like, it just made me mad. So I did not like her as much afterwards, and I had a hard time, and I felt myself like, what are you, like, come on.
Doing.
Yeah, like, don't do that to them. Like, just because I think also, and maybe that was part of it, maybe we knew that the friends had put up with a lot, had stood by her through a lot of that, but like, don't be like that.
That is so funny because I am the opposite.
Really?
Her in the beginning, she bugged the crap out of me in the beginning. I was like, why do you think you are so important? Like, right? So she's talking about like, oh, I'm doing all these things and I have these
She had a
checklists,
mission.
and like, she did. She had a mission, but also she felt to me the way she explained some of the other people in town. Right? She was like, oh, they're always in my space. They're trying, they ran my grandmother out. They did like, she was always trying to knock her down a peg and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's literally what you're doing. Like, every time you walk into a place, people are literally like scurrying away to the outside so that they can watch what happens, but they're not there to help you. You're in the way and continue to push things forward, which is the way to get things done. And I'm all about empowerment and feeling good about ourselves and making sure that there's the ability for equality and all of those things, the representation, like all of that stuff I'm here for. But when it's the only thing that you're thinking every time somebody says something when they want to help you and you're like, yeah, but you're pushing the girl down, you're pushing the woman down, I want to be like, shut up for a minute and listen. Like, they're not doing it to be mean, they're doing it because they want to. So they're trying in the beginning to help her the whole time.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I've got it, no, I've got it, no, I've got it. And then when it becomes a place when she needs the protection, she needs the help, she needs all of those things, and she's rallying against it, I thought that was a very much like yeah, it's about time you learn how to lean. It's about time you figure it out, right? It's about time you figure it out that, like, yes, I understand that your checklist and your binders and all of the things that you put together to control the space, and it was very much about control for her. And not in a way of like, I have to be in control of everything, but in a way of like, I don't understand my world. So in order to understand my world, I'm going to put parameters on it so that I can best understand where things are going. But that so limited her to the understanding that she could have had. And so I won't say that I liked it when she got to a place where she was doing things by herself. I rolled my eyes and I was like, you're causing a problem. Like,
right?
Every time he would reach out and touch her, every time Carol would touch her, I was like, don't let them touch you. Like, they're bad. They're bad. Stop letting them put their hands on you.
We know who's bad and we know who's good.
Yes,
Trust the good people. Like, why are we pulling away from the good people and leaning into the bad? Like, no.
Yeah, and like, I know that you think that you're protecting. I know that you think that you're helping. I know that you think you're doing all these things. But you also, yes, have to listen, have to learn. And I think part of the giving over to that was the transformation that she needed. It wasn't just like, oh, I have powers. It was, oh, I have powers and a family, a group, people who are smarter in this than I am. Because I think when we surround ourselves with people who are smarter, who know things more than we do, who have more experience, that only makes us better if we're willing to learn from that and to lean on that. And she wasn't. She wasn't in the beginning, and she really wasn't toward most of the book. But I think that was her transformation. But I kind of want to see what happens to her in the next few books. But I don't know, because I have the second one, and I want to say I've read like 20 pages in it. Right, I've read like 20 pages in it, and it's not from her perspective. It doesn't start from her perspective, which is kind of nice, right? It's not all Emerson's perspective. Also, I thought Emerson was the younger sister. Emerson is not. Emerson is the older sister. I totally thought she was the younger sister.
I mean, it makes sense with her personality traits. Like, she's definitely an older daughter.
look, as an older daughter, I don't always like that those are the personality traits, even though that's 100% how I live life. And that sucks because
It's a little bit of a mirror.
written, right? It was written for me in this book. And I was like, oh, I identify with that way too hard. Right. And so I think that's part of the reason why in the beginning I was like, you need to learn, like you need to shush.
Right? I think that's why I enjoyed the first part of it, because I was like, oh, I relate to her.
Right. And I think that's what bothered me because and part of that, like, as you grow through things and as you learn things and as you learn to lean and as you like put yourself in a partnership and things like that, those are things that it's hard to unlearn. It's hard to unlearn those traits that she has been living with for how long, right? Her parents are off doing things. Her sister is gone. She's like, oh, I have to do all this on my own. So she does. And those are the walls that she's put up, even though she has friends, those are the walls that she's put up. And she has to then unlearn those things.
Yeah, and so it's hard to go from... find out, like, there was a reason. They didn't just leave her.
Right, they didn't just leave.
Yeah, no. She made that decision, which is a very oldest daughter decision anyway.
Yeah, she goes very much like, from oak to willow, right? She goes from like very straight, like strict, not bending, not moving. She starts to willow a little bit where she can learn to bend, she can learn to lean, she can learn, but she still has more work to do. You're not going to have that happen in just a few short months.
Yeah, there was a lot.
I also would love to move to that little town. See, like there's nothing more in my body. Towns, oh God, yeah. I'm like, where can I go? Like, where is there a tiny little town with a river? Like, I'm headed there pronto. Give me something with a little history. And I live somewhere where there's history. I live somewhere where there's, parts of it are a small town, that sort of thing. There's just a lot of people here. There's a lot of people and no,
a lot of people
like,
in this small town.
There is, but there's no, like, I don't know. It's not small enough. Get smaller.
I need it to be smaller. So, second book...
Yes.
Not her perspective? Whose perspective do we start with? We don't know.
We do. Do you want to know who it is? It's Big Little Spells.
Okay.
And so clearly there have been spoilers in this episode already. So I will tell you, the second book starts out with Rebecca's perspective.
Oh, interesting.
The sister's perspective. Because all of a sudden it starts and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, this is not Emerson, but you still get everybody, right? You get everybody. It's all the same characters and that sort of thing. But there are different layers that we did not expect that you learn like within the first couple pages where you're like, oh, okay.
Interesting.
So I'm excited, right? But then I don't know what the other, like the third book, no idea what that's going to be. No, I don't even have any.
And the fourth book. There's a fourth book.
There is, which is exciting. Yes. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, so first book, like we said, is Small Town Big Magic, and then it's Big Little Spells. Third book is Truly Madly Magically, and then the fourth book is Dragon Fires Everywhere, and I'm excited about that one. Also, they're really like colorful, right?
Yes.
So you've got the blue, the orange, the third one is green, the fourth one is purple. Those are going to look wonderful on my shelf.
Yes, that is what drew me when I saw yours. I was like, because it's a very similar cover. It's just a different color. It has all the
fonts
leaves.
Are literally the same.
Yes. And I was like, that looks oddly familiar.
And I will tell you, it goes with, because I want to say this one has to do with, this one happens in the spring.
Is it on the seasons?
Because we go with Austera, and then this one is summer. So you have to get something done by Litha. So, like, it's very interesting. It definitely goes with, like, the whole Wheel of the Year thing, like... It's very interesting, and I like how, how I'm not a huge modern person book, right? Like a book that happens now, this very much happens now.
Yes.
So we've got like the crystals and the metaphysical stuff and tea and all, like those are all very known, accepted things. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Having a metaphysical shop down the street wouldn't be weird.
Yeah, no. No, I think that's the thing. There's so much magical undercurrent.
Right.
Within the town too. Like the town doesn't realize it, but it basically is set upon.
Yeah.
That's where like all the festivals that she sets up, like without knowing that that's what she's doing, like that's where they revolve around that. And then that's why people flock to the towns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the beginning, she also was very much against, like, one of her best friend was like crystals and herbs and, all of these different things. And she was like, oh, I just like roll my eyes and whatever. And I'm like, quit rolling your eyes. Like, you're in a book, ma'am. I know what's going to happen here.
But you talk to your dragon on the banister every day.
Like for no reason.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it was just funny the way that I thought it was a little bit quick, the way that she was so much like, oh, okay, this rock in my pocket that's now getting warm. Like, all of a sudden she's like, all right, that's cool. I'm like, what do you mean, all right, that's cool? You were just telling me how you were rolling your eyes at your best friend because she was doing yoga with crystals. Like,
but now magic exists.
Right?
And so...
It does. But she so quickly was like, yeah, sure. I'm like, all right. What do you mean, yeah, sure? You spent so long just like, and poo-hooing on your friends that did all of these things, and all of a sudden everything is unveiled to you and now you're good? I was like, you push back on everything else. Push back a little harder, please.
That's probably the least unexplainable of the things that are happening, though.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're able to just like poof places and you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That, and also the fact that she was able to do several things correct the first time.
Yeah.
And I was like, ma'am, no.
Magic memory. Muscle memory.
Yeah, no, muscle memory was there, but I was like,
Magic
come on.
muscle memory.
I wanted her to struggle a little bit because she was so good at everything else. I was like,
dang.
Right? Like, I was annoyed.
Feel like that's going to take a little bit of unpacking and maybe a session.
But no, I feel like she, sometimes when they write something that's a little too perfect, where it's a little bit too like, that's not, I feel like there would be a little bit more discussion there. And so I wanted that to unpack a little bit, but I understand that with everything that happened in the book, we probably couldn't have taken that long on it. It just felt fast.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need you to question a little more. For somebody who was so analytical and so logic-based and so facts-based, and like everything had to, like, the stickers had to be in the right place in the planner, which I totally understand. I can see her as she was like, do you think I could make a sticker for this? And I was like, that sounds 100% like me. Because I would be like, I'd love a sticker, a special sticker for this thing. So it was, a lot of that was on it. But I was like, if it were me in that situation and you were like, oh yeah, now you can fly, I'd be like, no. People don't do that. Like, no, like there's got to be a limit to something here. And so I think that's why it was. I was like, I would have questioned it a little bit more instead of just being like, cool, you have powers. Have a great time. Like, go save the world. Like,
yes. Poof around wherever you want.
Right? But just make sure nobody sees you. Okay.
Yes.
So I think that's what it was a little bit for me. That I was just... She wasn't my favorite character. And it's funny because I think
she was not my favorite character either.
No, I have a favorite character in the book, though. But most of the first books in a series, that main character does not end up being my favorite character. Oh. Okay. I end up liking somebody down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, I want to learn a little bit more about, I think her name's Elwyn. Yes. Okay. She's the friend. She's Rebecca's best friend. And... Georgie, I really liked Georgie, but because she's a historian and she likes to research, and I was like, oh, I like her a lot. Like, what's her story? Yep. And then the cousin, what was the cousin's name? It's not Zach, because Zach is the uncle. Starts with a Z, because all of their names starts with a Z. I can't remember, but I don't remember. Yeah, I liked him too. I was like, there's something to unpack with that guy, the Guardian. He was the Guardian. So, and I love that they each had a different thing that they did, which was neat.
Yeah, they all had their role. They all had their specific. I mean, and I think I would say that's true in most magic books. Yeah. We do approach it from different, because there is a good balance when all of the magical aspects are accounted for. There's a balance to it. Yeah. So, yeah, I like that. But yeah, I didn't love her. I thought I would in the very beginning. I was like, oh, totally relatable with your little planner, and like...
And that's why she bothered me, because I was like, it's way too relatable. Like, you're a little too on the nose with that. I don't like that. Like, you're gonna get dropped hard on your head real quick. Like, that heart's gonna fall hard.
It's gonna happen soon, and it did. Like,
oh yeah,
it was not far into the book before we found out. So, I was not prepared for how quickly that happened. Usually, there's like a little bit more build up.
Yeah, and how it happened, and like I said, how it happened, and she was successful. That's what bugged me. I was like, I need you to feel like it's something that you've worked to get back a little bit, because then I think she would have respected it a little bit more, versus it just poofing and being like, hello, here it is. Here's your special fun gift. Cool. Figure out that you have powers. Figure out that you have these things, but don't automatically save the world first go round.
Of course, they gave her god level magic powers, and she just knew how to wield them. Like,
yeah, that was, I think I think that's what got to me. And the fact that it was like, oh, she's also like the most important this and the most important this. And I'm like, if it's a group, you all have equal parts to play in this thing. It almost felt like I didn't need her to be the most special. And I felt like they kept forcing her into being the most special. I would have loved for her to be an equal part, like feel like an equal part of the group versus having to feel like she had to do it all her own.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was what happened the entire time.
It was definitely the theme. Yeah, because I picked up on that too, and I was like, I don't like this bit at all.
No, but that's the thing. And the thing is, I really enjoyed the book. And I think that's why I'm still able to be like, that's why I'm passionate about it. The fact that I'm like, no, like work harder.
I dislike the main character. Thoroughly loved the book. Did you rate the book? Did you rate the book?
I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did. I want to say I gave it 3 stars.
I also gave it 3 stars.
I gave it 3. Yeah. Yes. Because it felt, like I said, it was one that I would read. It's one that I'll recommend. It's one that I'll pass on. I've already put my little stamp in it and it's ready to go for the next one. It's one that I want back because it's going to complete the thing that's set on my shelf. But it's also not one that changed my world, but I will read other things by this author. These authors. I will write these authors. Yes. We'll 100% read the rest of the series, right? Yeah. I think the one thing that makes me read the second one is that the bigger picture problem is not completed at the end of the first book. And so it feels a little bit like a cliffhanger. Like it does a little more answer some story. Things. Yeah. It does. So I can see why like you're cool with it just being a one and done. Yeah. But it does lend itself into more because there's certain things that are not yet fixed, not yet completed or solved or whatever it is. I'm very
curious along that line if the authors even knew it was going to be a series. You know, sometimes you write a book, not like you and I, but like I've heard about authors and sometimes they write books and they're like, oh, I didn't expect someone to love this as much. So I guess we're just going to continue this world, right? Like there's things that we could still pick up on. There's enough characters with enough history that we could go back. So it's intriguing to me that you said the second one is from a completely different perspective. Because I feel like when I read the book, I didn't even realize it was a series. The only time I realized that was when I saw yours and I was like, wait a minute. And then we did a little bit more research because it ends with some things untied, but also not in a way that makes you, 1, think it's a series, 2, think you have to keep reading, or like, you're missing out if you stop here. Like, I don't feel unfulfilled.
Yeah. And that goes back to the whole, like, how you plan a book sort of thing. I talked to somebody recently who was like, oh, I'm a book plotter. And I'm like, what the heck is a book plotter? Had no idea, right? I figured when you write a book, you make an outline, you have your ideas, and then you just kind of go for it. You write the different pieces, the different parts, you put them together like a puzzle piece, right? Also, not a writer, have no idea what I'm doing, but that's how I imagine it in my head. But she's like, no, I'm a book plotter. So like, she literally plots out all the points. It's not just like, it's not just an outline. It's a whole thing. And so I do wonder, when you're starting a book like this, do you just plot the one book? Or if you plan for it to be a series, do you plot the entire series and then you just piecemeal it out? Right? Like,
good heavens, that's a lot to think about.
And that's where my brain went, where I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Like, you can see it as a reader when I'm reading the story and I'm reading the series. I'm like, oh yes, I know this is a series. I can see, you can see what's going next. When Nora Roberts writes a series and it's got 3 friends, it's a trilogy, and I know each book is going to be about one friend and one of the dudes in the group because there's 6 of them. Like, I know what's going to happen then. But when you're writing the series, it's not like that. It's a little bit different. Do you write the whole thing first? Right? And then go, okay, we're going to stop book 1 here. We're going to stop book 2 here. I don't know.
No.
Also, more evidence to why I can't be a writer. It's fine.
It's just too much.
It's right. I feel like my brain would go everywhere, and all of a sudden I would have 16 books and no through line, right? It just would be, a whole meandering adventure where we actually end up nowhere.
Where we didn't learn anything.
We learned nothing, but everybody has had a time. It's been something.
It's been something. not terrible.
Exactly. So I don't know, but I think it's interesting to have two people write it together. I wonder in reading the next couple if I will be able to see a difference. Like if somebody took more of, like if one author took a little bit more effort into one and the other one kind of supplemented, or is it a complete 50-50? Like, will you be able to see the difference?
I was going to say, how would you tell? Yeah.
Right? I don't know. I wonder if it's just the
different.
writing or, yeah.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
I'm going to read it with the same voice that I attributed to all the characters in the beginning. So will that change the way that I write it? And I think a lot of that has to do with like structure and the way that it's written, the way that, you know, they write conversations and the language used. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. And now I kind of want to go back to some of the others and be like, all right, I can step into a science fiction real quick to see what this feels like.
Yeah. I was also going to say, it might also lend a different perspective when we write from a different character's perspective, that maybe that shift is very subtle in that someone else takes another leeway, but this is a completely different character.
Right. So,
and so you won't, like, you need that different approach to make the character stand out. So is it intentional? Would it be hidden? We don't know. We don't know.
Because we don't get a lot of Rebecca in the first book. We don't get any of her perspective in the first book, but it definitely starts with hers in the second.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So, and I wonder if we'll get, because you're only inside one person's head in the first book, right? You're only getting one person's thoughts. You're not seeing, I don't remember seeing any of, was it Jacob? Was that his name? I don't remember. Whoever the love interest is in this one. I don't remember seeing inside his head, right? Because I think a lot of the books I read are her perspective, and then the next chapter is somebody else's perspective. So you kind of get to see what everybody's thinking. This one was not like that. This was one singular narrator.
Yeah.
Which is cool. And I think that pulls me in. I get a little bit more into it that way, because then I'm like, oh, we're only seeing this one person, so I can only take on what I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
So.
And that is from one person.
Exactly. Maybe that's why I didn't like it so much. It felt too familiar. Just being in her head. I want to be in somebody else's head.
Yes.
Might be a little bit. So.
Yes.
I don't know. Are there other book series that you all are reading that are written by the same, like, two people under one pen name that you've, like, absolutely love? Do you notice? Like, would you be able to tell otherwise if somebody didn't tell you? I'm interested to know if this is something that people have experienced, or if I'm just discovering this late, as per the usual.
We're just new to this train. Who knows?
Because clearly it's been happening for a while.
Would you know?
Yeah. Would you have any idea until I go and look up the author? Because I do, after I read a book that I enjoy, I do tend to kind of look up the author and connect and just, you know, follow them on social media and stuff like that, just to see what they're doing. Because I think it's fun. It gives a little bit of an insight to it.
And are there books that you're enjoying that maybe the main character is not for you, but for some reason the rest of the story is great and we're continuing on?
Exactly.
We would love to know.
Would love to hear that. If you have not already, subscribe in 25. We can still say that for a few more months.
What we're doing.
This is
just what's happening.
Creeping closer and closer to 50 subscribers on YouTube, which is fantastic. Don't forget to hit all those buttons if you made it this far. Yes. Other than that, I think we will see you next week. And until then, happy reading.
Have a fabulous week.
It was great to have you join us for today's chat. If you'd like to continue the conversation, provide a recommendation, or simply say hi, pop over to Instagram at wine.read.wine. Or leave us a comment on our YouTube channel. We'll see you on the next episode. Happy reading!